You know that feeling, that very specific sinking feeling? It usually hits you right as you walk out of, say, a salon after paying for a really expensive haircut. Or maybe you're standing at the counter of one of those, artisanal coffee shops. You tap your card, you hear the beep, and then you see the notification pop up on your phone.
Oh, I know that one. It's that instant pit in your stomach.
Exactly. You just see the number go down, and your brain immediately goes, well, that's it.
Yeah.
That money is gone, vaporized. I am objectively poorer than I was 5 minutes ago. It feels like a loss.
It's a classic buyer's remorse, and it's universal. We tend to think of our personal finances as this little fortress we have to defend.
Right, like a castle.
Yeah. And every expense, whether it's for rent or a latte, it feels like a breach in the wall. We think we have to protect our money from the outside world.
It feels like a competition. If the coffee shop wins, I lose. But today, we are going to completely dismantle that feeling. We've got a great set of notes here on economic theory, specifically what the source material calls lesson number 10. And it argues that sinking feeling isn't just unpleasant, it's just wrong.
It's a total illusion. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the circular flow, money in motion. And honestly, if we do our job right today, you, the listener, you're not going to look at your spending in the same way again. You'll stop seeing it as a loss and start seeing it as, I don't know, passing a baton in a huge relay race.
Which is a much healthier way to live, I think. I'd rather be a relay runner than a guy in a fortress. So, let's set the stage. The source material for this deep dive is built around a conversation between two characters, Sean and Annie. And they walk us through some pretty big ideas. The iron rule, the circular flow model, the multiplier effect, and even trust.
These are core macroeconomic concepts, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I love about this source is how it presents them. It flips the script on how we think about our daily spending. It takes the textbook and puts it right into your wallet.
Okay, so let's start with the foundation. The source calls it the iron rule. It sounds intense.
It sounds intense because, well, it is. It's absolute. There are very few laws in economics that are as rigid as, say, physics, but this is one of them. The iron rule states, expenditure equals income.
Okay. Let's unpack that a little, because to me, expenditure equals my money is gone.
In your personal bank account? Sure. But you have to zoom out. In plain English, the rule is this. Your expense is always, and I mean always, without exception, someone else's income.
So when I swipe my card, the money doesn't just disappear into a black hole.
Precisely. And that's the big mental shift the source wants us to make right away. We think money has an exit door. We think when we spend it, it leaves the game entirely. But from a macro view, the view of the whole system, there are no exit doors. The source actually uses that coffee example you mentioned.
Right, the super expensive latte.
Something like that. When you buy that coffee, you see money leaving your account. But the source says no, trace that dollar. It hasn't vanished. It's just transformed. Instantly, It becomes the barista's wage. It becomes part of the rent for the shop. It becomes profit for the person who grew the beans.
So it's like that old rule from science class. Value is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form.
That's the physics of economics, yes.
Yeah.
Every single penny you lose is a penny someone else finds. And this is where the character Annie comes in. She's sort of the stand-in for us in the text. She's doing exactly what we talked about, complaining about how much her haircut cost. She feels like her wallet is lighter.
I feel for Annie. Haircuts just seem to keep going up no matter what.
They do. But Sean, the other character, he challenges her on that. He says, look at it differently. You didn't just lose money. You just paid for your stylist's groceries for the evening, or maybe you chipped in for their kids' education fund.
Wow. That is a really powerful way to reframe it. It changes the story from depletion to contribution.
Or participation. That's the key. Sean's point, and the whole point of this lesson, is that your money keeps working long after it leaves your wallet. When you hoard it, when it just sits there, it's dormant. It has potential, sure, but zero kinetic energy. But when you spend it, you are literally powering the lives of other people.
I like that. It makes me feel like a philanthropist every time I buy a sandwich. But let me just play devil's advocate for a second, because I can hear a listener asking this.
Please, go for it.
If I just spend everything I have to power the lives of others, well, I'm going to go broke. The system might be happy, but I'll be in trouble. The source can't be suggesting we just spend everything for the greater good, can it?
No, absolutely not. And that's a really important distinction. This isn't personal financial advice telling you to be reckless. You still need to save, to plan for your future. This is about understanding systemic health. It's trying to cure the guilt of necessary spending, not encourage you to go bankrupt. The whole point is that the economy isn't some static pile of gold we're all fighting over. It's a flow.
A flow. Okay, that brings us to the visual model, the circular flow. I'm picturing a big wheel or something.
That's a great way to see it. Imagine a closed loop, a perfect circle. The source describes the economy as having two main players on this stage. Households, that's all of us, regular people, and firms, which are just businesses.
Mm.
And they are locked in this constant rhythmic exchange.
Okay, so lay it out for me. How does that exchange work?
Well, it's a two-way street. There are two currents flowing in opposite directions. First, households give firms their labor. You go to work, you offer your skills and your time. In exchange, firms give households wages, your salary. That's one half of the circle.
Okay, that makes sense. I trade my time for a paycheck. Standard.
But then, what do you do with those wages? Households give that money right back to firms when they buy things. That's spending. And in exchange for that spending, firms give households goods and services.
So I give my time to get money, to then give that money away to get stuff, which gives the firm money to pay me for my time.
Exactly. It just goes round and round. It's a continuous loop. Households provide labor and consumption. Firms provide wages and products. One can't exist without the other. But here's the key insight from the source. The thing you really need to get.
I'm ready.
The health of the economy isn't defined by how much money is sitting around. It is defined by the speed of that circle.
The speed, so velocity is more important than volume.
Yes, motion. The source says it explicitly. Economy is motion. Think about it. If everyone suddenly stopped spending, if we all got scared and stuffed our money under the mattress to be safe, what would happen to that circle?
Well, if I don't buy anything, businesses don't make any sales.
Right. So firms stop selling things, which means they have no money coming in. If they have no revenue, they can't pay wages to their workers, which means households have no income, which means they can't spend, even if they wanted to.
It's a death spiral, a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is. A recession or a depression, according to the source, is basically just the circle slowing down or stopping completely. So that guilt you feel when you spend. From a systemic view, that spending is the energy that keeps the whole engine running.
Wow. So by buying that coffee, I'm sort of doing my civic duty.
In a macro sense, yes. When the circle spins fast, everyone feels prosperous because money is moving.
Yeah.
When it stops, everyone feels poor, even if the total amount of money in the system hasn't changed at all.
That is such a strange idea. The money is all still there, but because it's not moving, we're poor.
Exactly. And that brings us to what I think is the most mind-blowing part of these notes. It explains why that motion is so powerful. The text calls it the magic of $10. Economists call it the multiplier effect.
And the multiplier effect. Okay, I like the sound of that. How does $10 become magic? Because right now, $10 barely buys lunch.
So let's trace it. Let's say you take a $10 bill and you spend it at a local shop. That's transaction one. In your head, it's -10. In the shop's register, it's +10. But is that bill done for the day?
No, because the shopkeeper has it now.
Right. And they don't just put it in a frame on the wall. They have their own bills to pay. So the source traces this chain. The shopkeeper takes your $10 and pays a supplier. Let's say the baker who made the pastries.
Okay, so now the baker has the $10.
And then the baker takes that same exact bill and pays a delivery driver. The driver takes it and buys gas at a gas station. The attendant there takes it and buys their own lunch.
It's the same $10. It hasn't cloned itself or anything.
It is the same single unit of currency. But think about the value created. You got your item from the shop. The shopkeeper got inventory. The baker got paid. The driver got wages. The attendant sold gas. That single $10 bill facilitated maybe $50, $60 of actual economic activity.
So that's the domino concept they talk about.
That is the multiplier effect. If that $10 stayed in your pocket, it was worth exactly $10.
Yeah.
Static. But by releasing it, it generated income for 5 different people. It literally created wealth just by moving.
That's a really important distinction, isn't it? The difference between money and wealth.
It's a huge distinction. We confuse them all the time. Money is just the medium. It's the token. Wealth is having access to goods, services, and a livelihood. And the source argues that wealth isn't a static pile of cash. It's the frequency of transactions. The more the money moves, the more wealth is actually being experienced.
So a rich society isn't one where everyone has $1 million buried in their backyard.
Not at all. It's a society where that money changes hands 5 times a day. If everyone has $1 million in the yard, but no one will mow your lawn or bake you bread because they're all hoarding, you're living in a very poor society. You have money, but zero wealth.
This brings us to a really powerful analogy Sean uses in the text. He compares money to something biological, and once you hear it, you can't unhear it.
It's one of the oldest and best metaphors in economics. Money is the blood of the economic body.
Blood. Okay, so if that's the case, then households and firms, they're the organs.
Exactly. The source asks you to think about the human body. You have blood, and that blood is only useful because it circulates. It carries oxygen to your brain, nutrients to your muscles. It connects every single part of you to every other part.
Right, it has to flow. If it stops, you are in big trouble.
So what happens if the blood decides, you know what, I'm just going to stay in the left arm, it's safe here, I'm going to hoard myself?
Well, the rest of the body dies. And then eventually the left arm dies too because the heart gives out.
Precisely. And that's Sean's argument against stuffing money under the mattress. He argues that while saving is smart for an individual, you need an emergency fund, of course. If everyone does it at the same time, the whole organism gets sick. Stagnation is death.
It's funny, we're always taught that saving is the ultimate virtue. A penny saved is a penny earned. But this source seems to be suggesting that a penny spent is a penny kept alive.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's called the paradox of thrift. What's good for one person saving can be catastrophic for the group if everyone does it at once. The source is just trying to balance the scales. It wants you to understand that when you spend money, you're not just losing something. You're providing the nutrition that lets the rest of society function. You're keeping the patient alive.
Okay, I am with you on the mechanics of all this. The money flows, the economy spins, the blood circulates, it makes sense. But there's a really fragile piece underneath it all. And the source takes this philosophical turn near the end that I wasn't expecting.
It does. It moves from mechanics to psychology. It asks the fundamental question, why does any of this work in the first place?
The glue.
Yes,
Yeah.
the glue. The text asks, why does a stylist accept your digital numbers for a haircut? Why does anyone accept that piece of paper in your wallet? It's just paper.
Well, people usually say it's backed by the government or backed by gold, but we haven't been on the gold standard in a long, long time.
Decades.
Mm-hmm.
And the source is very clear about this. It's not backed by gold, it's backed by trust. The text actually defines money as a social contract.
A social contract. That sounds like something from a philosophy class, not an economics deep dive.
But it's the most realistic definition there is. Think about it. That piece of paper has no real value. You can't eat it. You can't build a house with it.
Right.
If you're stranded on a desert island with a suitcase full of $100 bills, what do you really have?
Some very expensive kindling, I guess.
Exactly. It's worthless. The only reason it works in civilization is because we all share this massive invisible belief system. I accept your money today because I trust that I can turn around and give it to someone else tomorrow for something I actually need.
So the circular flow is basically a circle of confidence.
It is a confidence game, in the most literal, non-criminal sense of the phrase. The system only works because we all agree to pretend this paper has value. If that trust disappears, the whole circular flow breaks instantly.
It's like that cartoon character who runs off a cliff. He's fine as long as he doesn't look down. The moment we stop believing the money has value, gravity kicks in.
That is a perfect analogy. The glue holding it all together isn't gold. It's our mutual confidence that the game will continue tomorrow.
That's actually a little bit terrifying when you think about it too much. Our entire civilization is based on a shared vibe.
A shared vibe is a very 21st century way of saying it, but yes, that is what a fiat currency system is. It requires faith. When people lose faith in the future, they stop spending, they hoard, the blood stops moving, the trust dissolves, and that's when you get real economic collapse.
So let's just recap what we've gone through here. Because we went from a cup of coffee to the existential nature of society.
It was a bit of a journey.
We started with the iron rule. Expenditure equals income. My spending is your salary. Money doesn't go away.
Right. And that feeds right into the circular flow. Households and firms in a constant exchange. The system is the motion.
Then we hit the multiplier effect. The magic of $10. How one bill can do the work of 100 if it just keeps moving.
And we use that biological analogy. Money is blood. Circulation is health. Stagnation is sickness.
And finally, the foundation of it all, trust. The shared belief that keeps the blood pumping. Without it, the money in our wallets is just paper.
It really changes how you move through the world. Next time you buy that coffee, you won't think of it as losing $5. You can think of it as injecting 5 units of energy into the system. You're validating the social contract. You're keeping the blood moving.
I'm never going to feel guilty about a latte again. I'm practically an economic hero.
Let's not get too carried away. You still have to balance your own budget. But yes, you're an active participant in this huge living organism.
But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is the thought I want to leave you, the listener, with today. We talked about how money is a contract based on confidence, not physical value, but trust. So if money is the blood of the economy and trust is the heart that pumps it, what happens to the blood if we simply stop trusting each other? Not just financially, but, socially.
That is the big question.
If money is just a measure of our connection to one another, does a polarized, distrustful society actually make our money worth less? If we can't agree on basic realities, can we really agree on the value of a dollar?
It suggests that social cohesion isn't just a nice thing to have, it's an economic imperative. If the glue dissolves, the circle breaks.
Something to think about the next time you tap your card. Thanks for diving up with us.
Thanks, Tim.